Bryan Canter from My Word Publishing and a whole conglomeration of organizations that are useful to writers. Welcome to the Rocky Mountain Writer Podcast.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's great to be here.
Great to have you on. And I know you travel around a bit. Where are we catching you today? Where are you stopped?
Yeah, for the Christmas holiday, we are stopped in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's kind of home base for us. I got married a little over a year ago to my beautiful wife, Dawn, and she was from the Albuquerque area. And so we kind of home base out of here. But over the last year, we have gone from literally from here to Virginia, back to California, up into Canada, and back again. So we've been all over the country.
That's great. That's great. Well, I could hop in the car and probably meet you for cocktails tonight because I'm in Southwest Colorado, 4 hours away, and so almost neighbors, kind of, sort of.
Yep.
That's great. Well, I really want to give you kudos for reaching out and suggesting a variety of topics, which is just so helpful to me as the host here on the podcast. And I just want to give our listeners a little sense of the variety of professional insights and backgrounds and experiences you can bring. And I'm just going to list some of these topics that you suggested to us, and then I'm going to focus in on one that we chose. You offered to chat about independent publishing versus traditional and hybrid publishing. You offered to talk about getting an audiobook produced through ACX, about all about Amazon ads, using Vellum or Atticus for interior layouts, career paths for indie authors, costs of publishing, book marketing fundamentals, and different kinds of editing, developmental versus copy, line, proof, etc. uh, there's just a wealth of good information here for writers in there. And after a few emails, you and I settled on chatting about Amazon ads, which I think is something a lot of us have questions about the value of. And just sort of it's a mystery about how to really make them effective. And so we will get into that in detail. And I think we'll probably touch on some of these other things as we go. But before we really dive into that particular topic, could you just give us a background? You've got this whole team of folks and you provide services across the board in so many different areas. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this.
Yeah, so my my background is I'm actually military. I was an officer in the United States Army for 23 years. Retired from that, worked a little bit in defense contracting for a while. I had always wanted to write, so I wrote a couple of books back in the late teens, and really got in and went to many conferences. Colorado Gold is obviously one of the premier conferences that I went to. Just soaking up and learning. And then I'm the kind of guy that takes online education. So I have taken probably 15 courses in everything from how to self-publish, publish independently, marketing, across the gamut of different things you can do, and then was able to experiment with a lot of those things myself. So I published my first two books independently on my own. I had started my own publishing company, Telecoast Publishing, to do that through. After I had done that, I ran into Polly Latovsky. She operates out of Denver. For before COVID, most of the clients were probably in the Denver area. She started My Word Publishing. Wait, probably 12 years ago, wrote a book called 3 Miles Per Hour. She literally walked around the world and then wrote a memoir about it. And she had such a horrible experience publishing. She said, "There's got to be a better way." She didn't go traditional. She worked with kind of a subsidy publisher, and she said, "There's got to be a better way." So she went out and same kind of thing. She researched that all out, and then created My Word Publishing as a little bit different. What's different about My Word Publishing rather than some of the other publishing companies? We don't actually publish people's books for them. We're not hybrid publisher. We're not a subsidy publisher. We're independent publishing consultants. So you literally just hire us because we've got the full network of editors and cover designers and interior layout designers and all those kinds of things. And and then the expertise to carry people and coach people through that process. And we usually have maintained a team of about 5 consultants that do that, specializing in different areas. A lot of what we do under My Word Publishing is nonfiction. But I'm a fiction author, and I just like fiction. So I told Polly I wanted to focus on fiction. I wanted to do work with the fiction clients, and so I've been working through My Word Publishing now for about 3 years, and I have run a little over 25 projects, publishing projects. And then I've run about as many 25, 26 audiobook projects. So I'm the only person in My Word Publishing that does the audiobook consulting. Um, in the midst of all that, I found out that I could, well, I didn't find out. For my own books, I did my own interior layouts. And so I also offer those services to a lot of our clients within My Word Publishing. And I guess to kind of tie things up. So I do book publishing consulting, audiobook publishing consulting, interior layout design, and then I had in part of my marketing, I had taken a bunch of courses, and I took Alana Terry's courses on Amazon ads and Facebook ads, and they just her method, there's the mechanics of running the dashboards and things like that, but then there's a method behind it. And her method did two things for me. One, it was one of the simpler ones, so required a lot less time, energy, effort, and things like that to do it. And so I tried that out after comparing it with a bunch of the other styles, and they worked. They gave me better results, and on my own books. So somewhere along the line in there, I connected with Alana. She was standing up a team to do Amazon ad management for authors. Put together campaigns and either get them running and optimized and then hand them back over to the author to maintain or to do long-term maintenance on them. And anyway, I ended up connecting with her, and so I'm involved in that side as well on the Amazon ad side. So that was a very, very long answer to your questions.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
apologize for not
No,
taking a breath.
that's okay. And we're going to get to Amazon ads real quick here in just a second. So if I if I gather correctly, and it sounds like you just got between you and your team, you've got a full array of services for on the technical end of getting published and getting your books out there. Do you also do editing? Are there people directly on your team who do either developmental editing or proof editing or line editing, et cetera?
Yeah, we've got a team of a little over it fluctuates a little bit, but we've got a team of about 15 to 20 editors. Some of them will specialize in developmental editing and coaching. A lot of times, if you're a developmental editor, you can do book coaching too. And then we've got copy line editors and proof editors. And we'll usually put together for our clients, we'll put together the right team so that they'll have a combination of those to get everything a full scope of editing done as well. And book designers, we got cover designers, and I'm not the only interior layout designer. As a matter of fact, I kind of specialize in just the simpler ones, novels and memoirs and things like that. Some of the business books where you have to really do a lot of precise control on where everything falls. We've got one primary other interior layout designer that does most of that work.
Yeah. So you've managed about 25 projects. How many projects total do you think the whole company has shepherded through?
Yeah, since we just went over 10 years, so we're at 11 years now, and we've gone over 1,000 books,
Wow.
which is very helpful because if I run into an issue that I haven't encountered yet, some kind of esoteric things in the 20 some books that I've published, 25, I reach out to the other members of the team at any time. we have coordination calls regularly where we discuss issues and things like that. So it's a fantastic team. I just really have to give some good kudos to Polly Latovsky for not just figuring it out, but then structuring that as a business and training. I had to take training, her training, even though I knew how to independently publish. I had to take her training to get certified through her company to be able to do this with her.
Terrific. Well, that's a great overview. Thank you so much for that. So let's dive into Amazon ads, Bryan. Um, they've been around obviously for a long time. And I'm just going to say from my personal experience and full disclosure, my last book and my next book are both being published by companies that are owned by Amazon. One is Thomas and Mercer's, the other is Lake Union. Amazon's controversial. I happen to love Amazon because they're treating me extremely well through those companies. But I'm always mystified by, and I've tried the ad um, offers that come along and, would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? And occasionally I dive in, but frankly, I just don't know what I'm doing or the best way to go about it. And I feel a little like I'm just walking in a dark room, just kind of feeling my way. So walk us through how to think about this and what are the best strategies for engaging with Amazon ads.
Yeah, so the first thing that I would recommend is take a course. Uh, don't just try to figure it out on your own. A good place to start, just to kind of learn the dashboard, the mechanics of the dashboard, and all that kind of stuff. The Kindlepreneur has a Dave Chesson out of Kindlepreneur has a free Amazon Ads course that he runs through. And that will get you in on how to set up an account, how to manage the campaigns and things like that. He obviously has a particular approach, a strategy, if you will. And to be fair to him, he also has Publisher Rocket, which does a lot of that data mining. A lot of independent authors are familiar with Publisher Rocket. If you're not, you should check it out. But his Amazon Ads course kind of leads you to, hey, wow, this is going to be a whole lot easier if I use Publisher Rocket to pull keywords and pull categories and things like that than just trying to do it on my own. So his methodology kind of leans that way. I took Mark Dawson's course, and he actually got a an ex-member of the Amazon Ads development team on to teach that section of the Ads for Authors course under Mark Dawson, and she gave some really good insights. He's great if you want a very technical approach that really focuses a lot on uh, testing and data mining and pruning and all of that kind of stuff. But then, like I said, Alana Terry's method ended up being more effective to me. And one of her things is like, hey, I'm a writer. I'm not primarily an advertiser. And so
Exactly.
I know I need to set this. I mean, if I'm going to run ads, I know I need to learn how to set it up and manage it, but I don't want to spend all of my time doing advertising.
Right.
So she has a pretty, I think, a simple kind of approach, but one that turned out to be very effective. I will at the onset, I'll start off by saying to brand new authors, if you have one book, it's unlikely that you're going to generate a positive ROI on your ads on your own. Matter of fact, standalone books can. Um, Alana just published a new book. She had me run the ads for it instead of running the ads herself. And she wanted it as a test case. It's a standalone. Almost everything else she has is in series. It's a standalone. We set those up right after launch, and she generated a positive net ROI off of a standalone book. So it can be done. It's uncommon. It's most effective for series where you're going to get the read through. So people will see the ads. hop in there, buy the book number one, and then you've got, you want to calculate your read through and your full series, expected return to be able to evaluate the effectiveness of the ads. Um, the one other thing that I'll mention though, my books are standalones right now. I don't generate a positive ROI on my own books with Amazon ads. They're not even in the same genre, so they're like, you've published across multiple genres, so mine aren't even, they're not just not a series, but they're not in the same genre. So that's a kind of a challenge there. So they really are standalone books. And I don't generate positive ROI on the ads themselves, but um, it's invaluable for the data that you can get back from that if you're in there looking at the dashboard. Or we always do an outbrief to our clients, and I'll run them through and I'll say, look, the data is showing me a couple of things. Um, I'll talk about that very briefly. Is that okay? Or
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
so from a data perspective, when I put the ads out there, the first thing is just the number of impressions. So if we're getting an adequate number of impressions, it tells me that two things: that the ads are targeted appropriately. So Amazon's algorithms are going to go in there and evaluate the ads, and then they're not going to show something. So if your book is sci-fi and you targeted a whole bunch of romance things, non-sci-fi romance, cozy romance or something like that, they're not going to have a tendency to show that, even if your bids are high, because and this is another key thing with Amazon. Amazon ads often don't spend your whole budget. If you put a budget of uh, say $300 a month on a portfolio, or $5 or $10 a day on your ads, if you run that in Facebook, I guarantee you they will spend your whole ads budget, because Facebook is in the business of advertising. That's where they generate their revenues. Amazon is in the business of selling products, facilitating sales, and they're very protective of the customer experience. And they don't want to serve up a whole bunch of inappropriate ads for the thing. So the algorithms try to determine, is this an appropriate targeting? Is this kind of person likely to convert and buy this book? And if it's not, they won't show it. But the number of impressions tells us that we're targeting it appropriately. So Amazon's algorithms are on our side, and our bids are in about the right place. If you're not familiar, are you
I,
familiar with the Amazon
I am
ecosystem there?
I am familiar with bids, but if you'd walk us through that, because that's a really it's kind of a little bit difficult concept to get your head around at first, because it's not just like, here's some money, run my ad.
Yeah, so it's a bidding structure. It's an auction. So for anybody that goes in there and, for example, types in a search, and in those search results, you're going to get some organic search results, and then you've seen them where it'll say sponsored at the top of a listing. And so some of those that are sprinkled throughout the search results are not organic search; they're actually ads that somebody has paid to put up there. The other place, of course, that you're going to see ads a lot is going to be on the product pages at the bottom. Customers who viewed this, you might also be interested in. And if it says sponsored above it, it's an ad. But it's an auction. There's lots of people who would like that place. If you type in thriller,
Right.
there's a lot of people that are going to want that place in the search results. And so it's a combination of appropriateness. Like I said, that the Amazon algorithms, is this an appropriate thing to display for this particular thing? But then it's a bidding contest. And I might say, hey, I'm willing to spend up to 55 cents a click on this ad. Somebody else might say, hey, I'm willing to spend 75 cents a click. Somebody else might say, I'm willing to spend 30 cents a click. And so that goes into the adjudication process as to not only who gets shown, but what order they get shown in, what position they're shown in, and those kinds of things. The bids vary widely across the genres. If you have a poetry book or even some business kinds of books and things like that, the bids a lot of times are a little bit lower. Highly competitive fiction genres, thrillers, the bids are going to be pretty high. Now you only pay if somebody clicks on your ad, so it's a pay-per-click system, but you have to bid enough to even get in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like an extra layer that you're kind of losing control of it a little bit. But that's the way they do it. Yeah.
So we'll step in and we'll set out some. Normally, when we set up campaigns, we set up a set of 10 campaigns. By the way, with Amazon ads, the way you scale is you create more ads. So in Facebook, you can just increase your budget from $5 to $10 to $15 a day, whatever, and it will scale up for you, or you can broaden your audience out or something like that. In Amazon, you want targeted ads that are very appropriate to the targeted audience so that they'll get shown. You'll want the bid range that's going to work for you. But then in order to scale up, hey, I'm now getting the kind of performance that I want. You have to increase the number of campaigns. So we initially will set up 10 campaigns, and we might try some different bidding structures throughout those different campaigns, and different ones are going to work differently. So a category ad versus a keyword ad versus those kinds, an ASIN ad, a product ad. They'll perform a little bit differently. And so we'll put in a variety of bid structure. Of course, we do it. I said I've published 25 books, 26 audio books. I've done at least 75 ad campaigns. I mean, ad clients that I've done campaigns for. So we kind of have a sense for what the bid ranges are going to be for different genres and things like that. But then we have to test them out because every single book is different. Some books are going to perform well with category ads. Some are going to perform better with ASIN ads. Some of them are going to be keyword ads. Every single book performs differently. And the only way to do it is to throw some spaghetti against the wall, test it a little bit, and then refine off of those tests.
So if you've run 75 ad campaigns for clients, uh, what percentage of those have a positive return on investment based on the Amazon ad campaigns you've organized?
Yeah, again, that's going to be very, very, very different across different books. So we have had some standalones that have gotten positive ROI. Although I will tell you there, even then, it's usually with authors that have got a decent backlist um, and are somewhat known. The reason being is Amazon has all that data on that author as well. So
Right.
again, the Amazon ads can be working in your favor. If you don't have a decent amount of sales volume, um, Amazon ads are unlikely to fix the problem by themselves. I like to call it icing on the cake. If you've got something else that's driving sales, so if you're running very effective Facebook ad campaigns, or if you've got direct, off of your website, you've got email distribution, marketing, and all that kind of stuff. If you're doing well with all that, Amazon ads are going to make it a lot better. If you're not doing well, Amazon ads by themselves are probably not going to fix the problem, but they'll help. I apologize. I had started walking you through the data. So if
No.
I'm getting enough impressions, then that tells me I'm doing my job as an ad specialist well, because I'm targeting it appropriately and I'm doing appropriate bids. But if your click-through rate is really low, I mean very low, I like to see, except for category ads, I like to see about a 0.1% click-through rate. And that's if your ad has shown up 10,000 times, how many people actually click on the ad? I like to see at least a 0.1% click-through rate. If that's not happening, what that tells me, well, you answer the question. What do people primarily see when they see an ad? What's the major thing that they see when they see an ad? I don't know if that's fair or not.
Well, you mean in terms of what they're taking in is either the cover, or they'll see the number of reviews right away and just get
Yeah,
us.
it's about 90% the cover.
Yeah,
Um, of course, you do have the title is there and the star rating summary is there, right? But the biggest thing is the cover at 25% size, right?
yeah,
It's shrunk down to a little postage stamp, and that's what they see. And so if you have a really bad click-through rate, I mean,
yeah.
if you have a terrible star rating, if you got 1 star or 2 stars or something
Right.
like that, well, then that's probably the problem. Um, uh, Go write another book. Um, but but that's generally not the case with people, right? And so if you have a very low click-through rate, it's probably your cover design. It's very possible that your cover design is not appealing to people enough to go, wow, this looks like could be good. Let me just click through and see, get onto the product page.
Yep.
So a low click-through rate, that's one of the things we'll tell people to kind of take a look at. If you're getting a good click-through rate, but you're getting a bad conversion rate, for a series with good read through can be positive ROI and again, depends on the bids, depends on a lot of different factors, but with about a conversion rate of about 1 in 30, we'd like to see at least 1 in 30 for a series with good read through. We get some of our authors have I've got an author that's got a conversion rate of 1 in 5. So of every 5 people that clicks her ad, one of them buys.
Can you
Um,
mention her name?
I probably shouldn't, but
Free
just
publicity
because
for her.
what's that?
Free publicity for her.
Yeah, that's true. Um, well, and she's also, unfortunately, I interact with her on her uh, real name, and she writes under a pen name.
Okay.
So,
All right.
but so hang on just a second. Yeah, I would normally have that up and do that. But anyway, so she's hitting about 1 in 5. Um,
Yeah.
the and she's a kind of a cozy mystery author. Again, genre matters and things like that. I've got another author, several others that hit 1 in 10, and they're doing really well conversion rate. But here's the key there: the conversion rate's not on me as an ad guy, because once my ad gets them onto your product page, then it's the product page's job to convert them. But if I'm running ads, I know what that conversion rate is. If you're just out there, you have no idea how many people searched and your book came up in a search, they click on that, and then they decide to buy or decide not to buy. You don't have any data, and Amazon is not going to share that data with you because Amazon wants that data. They don't want
Yeah.
to share it with you. If you're running ads, you know the number of people that click on the ad and then the number of people that go on to buy. So if your conversion rate is low, sometimes 1 in 60, 80, 1 in 100, clearly that's not going to be a positive ROI ad. But what that tells me is at that point, people are looking at your blurb, people are looking at a full size thing of your cover design, and they're looking at your star rating and your price a little bit more closely than they are. That information is available on the ad, but people focus on the cover design on the ad, and then they focus on those other things once they land on your product page.
Right. Right. Um, so let's say you to go back a few minutes here, and I think you made a really good point that for a lot of us, I'd rather just be writing. I don't mind doing some marketing or interviews or scheduling a bookstore stop or a library talk or going to a conference, but that just allows me to talk about my book, and I don't have to, know all these intricacies of the Amazon ad world and or Facebook ad world. If I came to you all and I just said, I want you to come back at me with a plan, and here's my budget for actually on the ads. What's it going to cost me? What will you charge me to put together that plan?
Yeah, well, so we will set up the service that we have is $350 to set up 10 ad campaigns and to optimize them. So we typically will hold those campaigns for 4 to 6 weeks, because like I said, our initial thing is, and I tend to start conservative with lower bids, and then I see, I'm not getting impressions that I want. I'm going to up my bids a little bit. I don't want to start off with 75 cent clicks for somebody before I have any idea which ads are going to perform the best and things like that. So we set up 10 campaigns, and we typically will only run, you can run multiple ads per campaign. We typically will only run one ad per campaign because that makes it cleaner to both manage and to assess the data. So we'll set up those 10 campaigns. We'll run them for 4 to 6 weeks and get them as optimum as we can. So there are going to be some, series that just knock it out of the park. I've had one client that's been with me. After we do that, then we either at that 6 week, 4 to 6 week point, we'll either turn it back over to you and say, okay, manage these on your own. We set them up, we optimized them, but you need to manage them on your own. Or I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the price is to do ongoing maintenance. It's less. I think it's around 150 bucks a month to do maintenance. In which case we'll manage them for you. I've had one client for going on 2 years now that I've been running her ads the entire time, and she's doing extremely well. Got a 6 book series out that it's Regency Romance, and it's doing extremely well. So we just continue to manage her ads for her.
Right.
That way she doesn't have to do anything at all, and then we do that.
Does the 150, let's say you're doing maintenance, or let's go back to the 350. The 350 is for your services. I also need to, let's say we're doing a 6 week test run with these multiple campaigns. I also need to bring some dollars to the table for the actual campaign itself.
Yeah, so you have to have an ad budget as well. You're correct, and I apologize for not clarifying.
No,
That is just our time, energy, and effort to put it
right,
up and things like that. Then you run an ad budget, and again, that's going to vary. I will tell you, if you're running less than $100 a month ad budget, you're not going to get much traction. Um, but um, but running $1,000 a month, it's hard for us with 12 campaigns to hit $1,000 a month ad budget.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
said, Amazon's very protective of their customer experience. They're not going to serve up your ads, and I'm not going to put $3 clicks on somebody's ad just so that we can spend $1,000 budget.
right.
That would be irresponsible. So we're trying to optimize these so that they have the best chance of being a positive return on investment. Um, so what people do at that point, again, my recommendation to people is, if you don't want to have us manage your ads long term, if you want us to just set those up for you, again, go to Dave Chesson's Kindlepreneur free Amazon ads course, and that will give you the mechanics that you need to be able to get in the dashboard, understand what you're seeing in your dashboard, and then being able to do that. Amazon ads are, this is important. Like, a bunch of people came on and said, hey, can we do Black Friday ads? And the answer is no. They're just not really effective at doing that kind of advertising. They're long haul advertising, but they're not evergreen. And by that, I mean, once we give you your set of 12, um, and sometimes we have to prune some of those out. They're just non-performing, and so we don't want to leave them running. And there's nothing we can do to that particular ad to make it run, so or to perform well. So we pause it, turn it off. We leave it in your dashboard so you can see the data. So you've got that for reference. But anyway, if you want to do that, then take that and you can learn the mechanics of being able to get into your dashboard, understand what you're seeing. Like I said, Amazon ads are long-term ads. They're things that you want to set up and just keep running, you know, potentially forever, but they're not evergreen. Once you set up an ad, it might perform well for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and then the performance start to taper off. And that can be from competition. It can be from seasonal variation. It can be from if it's an ASIN ad and you're targeting other products. well, more new books came out in the genre, and now those are the ones that are getting the attention and not the products that you originally targeted. So it does require some, you know, management. If you learn the mechanics of it and you kind of understand the strategy behind doing it, you can do that. I check my own personal ads about once a week.
Uh-huh.
I pull them up. I can check my ads once a week in about 10 minutes. If I need to make some major changes to them, a bunch of things stop performing and I want to create some new ads, that might take me 30 minutes. I would never spend more than an hour a week on my own ads.
Yeah. Yeah. And ASIN, just going back a little, for those who don't know, that's the Amazon number assignment, the like equivalent to an ISBN that for the non-Amazon world. I mean, of course, you get an ISBN attached to your Amazon book, but you can publish through Amazon only and not deal with an ISBN and all that. Right.
Yeah, I apologize for not.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll throw these
Yeah.
terms
Yeah.
out and just
Yeah.
assume that people are familiar with them. One other thing I will mention too about Amazon ads, there's no proof behind this. I do have some clients that are not also published through KDP. So if you're published only external to Amazon and not also under KDP, um, just anecdotally, it doesn't seem that Amazon favors those books as much as it does books that are published under KDP. Again, I can't speak authoritatively on that. It's just anecdotally, but after running, ad campaigns for 75 clients, I kind of get a sense for what some things do. The other thing that I'll mention is it appears, again, I don't know what's in the algorithm, so I can't speak definitively, but it also appears that Amazon will tend to favor books that are in KU for the ebooks that are in Kindle Unlimited. So that's in the KDP Select thing,
Right.
and they're available under Kindle Unlimited. And because that's revenue that's all coming to Amazon. If somebody
Right.
buys the book or if somebody reads the book in KU, then it's revenue that's coming to Amazon, and so it feels like they have a tendency to favor those books a little bit in the algorithms over the others.
I think your feeling is probably resonates with a lot of people who try to go into that world, and they may have started at Ingram Lightning Source and they're, also in Kindle as a result of that, but they probably don't see the impact from advertising directly on Amazon because Amazon knows through its systems, they recognize that it's not a Amazon only product.
One other thing that I should mention too is if you're grading how well your Amazon ads are performing, you really should grade it against the total sales in your at least your Amazon dashboard, right? The reason that I say that is because if you're running Amazon ads and say you get 20 additional sales this month because of your Amazon ads, and maybe that doesn't make you positive ROI on your Amazon ads, it is going to increase your standing in your Amazon bestseller ratings, right? So your ABSR ratings are going to be higher, your category ratings are going to be higher. That means Amazon is organically going to serve your book up more often. Amazon's interested in things that convert. And so that if things are converting, even in KU, if they're getting KU page reads, then that boosts your Amazon bestseller rating, and that means that you're going to get more traffic to your organic searches than you would otherwise. So a good way to test this is if you're running Amazon ads, run them for 3, 4, 5 months, get a baseline of data, stop running the ads. You'll obviously going to taper out. You're not going to get those sales that would have otherwise be attributed to ads, but you're probably going to get a drop off in your other sales. You're going to get a drop off in your ABSR ratings. And so Amazon is just not going to serve your book up in organic search as often. So if you're calculating ROI just based on the ad sales, the sales that are attributed to the Amazon ad, you're not gonna you're not gonna get that. And of course, we talked about read through earlier, right? The ad normally, not always, but normally is going to send people the first book in the series, and that's the only one that's going to get attributed to the ad. But that, if you got 6, 7 book series, that read through might be worth $7 to $10 or $12 in royalty revenue to you. And so, and that's not calculated in the ROI calculations from, from just clicks on the ad.
Yeah. Wow. It's really an interesting world and something that didn't exist, 20 years ago or something. Maybe, I mean, it's just incredible. And just to stop and think about the data that Amazon has about readers and what they read and how much they read. And, if we think of readers that read only this kind of thing. But really, if you look at, I don't know, look at my own reading list, I mean, it's really all over the place, but probably does have certain tendencies. And they know those tendencies and they know those, um, just how these all these decisions, shopping decisions get made. They understand it better than anyone.
Well,
Uh,
and I will tell you that it's very typical for a standalone book in a month. If you've got, say, our 12 campaigns running and stuff like that, it's not uncommon to get 3 to 500,000 impressions. So an impression is just the ad appeared on their screen, right?
right.
It's not, if it's buried in the second or third or fourth, scroll through, that doesn't count. But if it's displayed on somebody's screen and they had a chance to see it, and the intangibles of branding for that. If somebody's a fantasy author and they keep seeing this cover come up and come up and come up and come up, maybe they didn't buy it the first time that they
Right.
saw it, but after the 20th time they see it, they go, that keeps coming up. Let me check it out.
Yeah.
Um, so from a branding perspective, it can be very powerful. I don't know where else, other than like social media ads too, Facebook ads and things like that. I don't know where else you can get your cover in front of, 300,000 people in a month.
Right. Right. Wow. Oh, well, I'm just curious on a personal level. It sounds like this is a very satisfying. You found, going back to your where you started getting into this, that you found a spot for yourself in this business that sounds to me like you're getting a lot of satisfaction out of it.
I love it. I love writing. I love the creative aspects of that, but I like the business side of publishing and marketing and those kinds of things. Really enjoy it. I love being able to do that for other authors. I'll tell you, I've got a military retirement. Um, I'm doing okay. I don't need this as a job. I do this as a learning opportunity and an opportunity to help out other authors. And so yeah, that's just, for me personally, it's something that I really enjoy doing. And you get huge amount of industry knowledge and networking, meeting lots of people and like yourself, that are doing podcasts and things like that.
Yeah. Well, before we ask you for your book recommendation or writer recommendation, tell us about your own books.
Yep, I really only have three full-length novels, and then I've got two little novellas that I published out that really, quite honestly, they're good stories, but they're mostly reader magnets. I do primarily historical fiction. My favorite book, bar none, is called Daughter of the Gods, a novel of the Picts. I went to Scotland for 6 months to live over there and do research, walking the ground, literally walking the ground that my novel was going to be written in. It's fourth century AD, so 367 AD, and just had, oh man, I had a ball just running around the highlands and islands of Scotland. So that was my favorite book to write so far. I'm now getting ready to do a time slip, or I'm in the middle of a time slip thriller that's going to be a little bit different than that, and that's kind of where I'm going to go with my future book. At least the next couple series are going to be time slip thrillers. I've got one biblical fiction book that I did. That's again historical fiction, but it's biblical time frame. And then I don't know why, but I did a romance, contemporary romance. It's a military romantic drama. So it's technically romance because it does have a happily ever after ending, but it's really more of kind of a family drama book. It's not. you know, some good looking hunk on the cover with bulgy muscles and all that kind of stuff. That a little bit different than that, but it's kind of a marital strife book. But I enjoyed writing it. I probably won't do a lot more romance books, but there's a romance in every book, right? So I think there's a lot of value in writing a romance just so that you kind of are more aware of the dynamics that are involved and that kind of thing. And you can weave those throughout the other books that you have.
Yeah,
So
great. Excellent. Well, thanks for
that one's
sharing.
called Vainglory, by the way.
Okay, great. And how about one book or writer you'd like to recommend and pay it forward a little bit?
Well, if I can too, and these are both Colorado writers, Colorado
Sure.
fiction writers. The first one is, well, pen name is Dee Dee Finder. And it's called Ready Right, Ready Left. He was a flight nurse, first responder flight nurse, and he took a lot of the actual live cases that they had and put that into a fictional novel. And he was actually one of my clients, and he was one of my earliest clients, but he took a lot longer to publish than normal because he really wanted to do it right. He went through thorough editing. He really worked, hard to make this a good debut novel. And he's been on a lot of first responder podcasts doing that and getting great. Only 72 ratings, but he's up at 4.6 stars on Amazon, and for a debut novel, that's pretty darn good. The other one is a current audiobook client. So we're working on her audiobook right now. It's a YA novel called Predestined by Rachel Byrne. And that's Byrne. And so that's kind of a YA fantasy novel. And I'm working with her right now. The audiobook, we just selected the narrator producer. So somewhere in about the next 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, that the audiobook should hit the street.
And is that already out in physical or ebook form?
Yes, it's out in Kindle and paperback.
Yep. Good. Good. Excellent. Well, that's fantastic. Really great stuff. And Bryan, thank you so much for this rundown. And I think it'll encourage some folks who might be sort of sitting on the sidelines and wondering about this to take a look and see what they can do to take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there with Amazon ads. Because in this crazy world of independent publishing and so many books coming out, you really need to look at it and analyze and evaluate all the varying sales strategies that are at your disposal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity once again to come on and just kind of share some of these ideas for people. Again, even if you don't end up running them long term, or even if you don't get a positive ROI on it, just the data alone can tell you, could I potentially have an issue with my cover design? Do I need to rewrite my blurb because people are landing on my page and I'm getting great ratings, but people are just not buying. Yeah, it helps you to be able to kind of focus in on where could I hone my marketing and my writing and maybe even my future design work a little bit and things like that.
Right, right. Fantastic. Bryan Canter, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your expertise. And we will maybe choose another topic from your fabulous list and get you back on here in a couple or 3 months or so.
Can I give you one quick last plug?
Please.
I am running a self-publishing boot camp. I don't know whether this will air before that, but it's going to be starting. It's going to be on Thursdays, starting on January 9th.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to run. It's going to run 7 weeks. Alana Terry is going to do the seventh session on Amazon and Facebook ads. But I'm going to run you through soup to nuts. If you're like, hey, what's involved in independent publishing, and what does that take, and how does that work? We're trying to run you through soup to nuts, what that would take, and how to do it on your own with recommendations for, cheaper alternatives and a little bit more expensive alternatives for each one of the steps involved. But that's just selfpublishingbootcamp.com, and you can find out more of the information about that.
Terrific. Bryan, thank you again.
Take care.